We have made it to Tuesday, and so have you here at Crain & Company. Welcome. To my left, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn. To my right, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain, and inventor of the steroid Olympics, I may add. We'll get to that later in the week. We got another great show for you guys today. We're going to discuss whether the SEC and the Big 10 can fix the college football playoff as some changes are taking place moving forward. We recap a huge weekend in college hoops, and we're going to tell you who to buy or sell in the Big 10 with some win totals, part one in 2025. Blaine, tell the people about the chat and don't blow it.
Chat, yes. Hit that like or subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. If you donate at all today, it will get read.
Give us your money.
At the end of the show, we want all the monies. We're going to have a lot of polls today where you get to decide the winner. So pick me or Canada will win Thursday. David, what's going on?
Canada's not winning Thursday.
No, they don't pick
Second
me.
off, the day after Thursday, Friday, is when we're planning to take live calls. 1-855-236-3228. That'll be the hot take hotline, unless we decide to change our mind because there's a snowstorm coming in. But I got boots, boys. I'm going to be good.
Look,
got a new pair.
I can take calling.
All day after tomorrow, this whole thing if I have to. Yeah. So let's get ready for the snow by bringing some Tuesday heat here on Crain & Company. I came up with that all by myself.
Scorching.
Giving the SEC and Big 10 4 automatic spots in the college football playoff, I think, is bad for the sport. Now, if you haven't heard, we're most likely going to move to either a 14-team or a 16-team college football playoff. And the SEC and the Big 10 probably going to get 4 automatic spots each, while the ACC and the Big 12 each get 2. The group of 5 gets 1, and if we go to 14 teams, there will be 1 at-large bid, or if it's 16, there will be 3. Now, the reason I don't think it's great for the sport is guaranteeing any conference a certain amount of bids if they make the playoff. It just seems artificial. I can't argue for meritocracy on one hand and automatic conference bids on the other because each year is different. And in reality, the Big 10 and the SEC would pretty much get that many teams in regardless if it was mandated or not. I mean, look at this past year with the 12-team playoff. The Big 10 got 4 teams in, and the SEC got 3 and almost 4. Now, here's a simple idea. Let's just take the top 12 teams in the country. We need to fix the format and the structure of the playoff, but not through mandates for automatic conference bids. Give the top 4 seeds a bye, regardless of conference. But why the SEC and the Big 10? Why are they doing it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's because they can. In the geopolitical world of college football, those 2 conferences are the superpowers. They are the United States and China, and depending on where you live, determines on which one you think China is. But to the victors go the spoils. I get it. And even though I'm from SEC country, I think it's a bridge too far. Give the conference championship game winners of the top 4 conferences an automatic bid, but don't guarantee them the top 4 seeds and automatic buys. Outside of that, there should be no automatic qualifiers, whether it's Power 4 or a group of 5. We aren't fixing the main problem by doing this. It's like fixing a cut on a finger of someone who's having a heart attack. It's not the main problem, and that's why we need a college football czar that is separate of conference affiliation and network affiliation. David Cohn, please tell me why I'm right, or, if you want to be wrong, why I'm wrong.
A lot of good stuff in there. I understand the power play here when you have the 2 biggest revenue drivers in the sport pressing their advantage. But like you, I just wonder, is there any single individual or entity that's looking out for the long-term best interest of college football? Because I don't see that right now. And again, I'm not trying to be too dramatic, but I do think the sport is in serious jeopardy of doing long-term damage to itself. What did Ronald Reagan say? Freedom's never more than 1 generation from extinction. If freedom can go extinct, college football can too. I need people to get out of this mindset of, college football has the most rabid fans, so we can do anything that we want to the sport and we'll be just fine. Now, look, a lot of good's going to come from this too. They're going to be pros to every con. The SEC possibly moving to a 9-game in-conference schedule. The SEC Big 10 matchups that are going to be cross-network. I think that could be a very good thing here. But yes, I do. I just wonder, like, this is a sport that takes its traditions very seriously, right? It's a sport of traditions. If you go messing with that, I don't understand. And at the same time, the Big 10 and the SEC want to get automatic qualifiers, but they're still fine having a mandatory Group of 5 team. I don't understand why Group of 5 programs don't want their own playoff. Again, I think we have too many teams vying for one championship. If you took this same exact approach to UFC or to boxing, Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, greatest pound-for-pound boxers during their day, wouldn't be world champions because they wouldn't beat the heavyweights of the world. We need more spots. We need more divisions and categories, but I don't know how this fixes that unless there's a complete breakaway.
Yeah, there's a couple things you said there I want to get into, but I want to give a little more background to the audience. The SEC and the Big 10 are basically going to be in charge of the college football playoff format in moving forward.
In 2026.
In 2026.
2026 to 2031 is the next contract with the SEC.
Yes. So they're able to mandate it. And listen, I understand if you're the SEC or the Big 10 wanting to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're stupid for doing it. What I'm saying is I don't think they should be allowed to do it. Because like I said just a second ago, the SEC and the Big 10 are always going to get at least 3 teams in. At least. I mean, we can have the argument about Alabama and SMU in this last one, but the SEC got 3 and the Big 10 got 4. And to your point, it's not as much about me thinking that college football is going to go extinct. It's that I want it operating at maximum efficiency and the best way possible. I think it'll always be good, but I want it to be great. I want it to be the best version of itself. And I feel like by allowing the SEC and the Big 10 to basically have carte blanche over everything, which is what they have, why don't we, and by them saying, well, we get 4 automatic spots, then you get 2, then you get 2. We need to take the top 12 teams in the country, but we got to fix the structure first. We're not fixing the main problem. We're not fixing that if you win your conference, you automatically get a bye. Boise shouldn't have got a bye. Arizona State are teams that win the conference. That doesn't automatically make you a 1 through 4 seed. Now, if you're Oregon and you win the Big 10 and you're the number 1 overall seed, you should be able to get a bye. But why couldn't 2 teams from the Big 10 get a bye if it worked out like that? And then just taking the top 12 or having a mechanism that is able to pick the top 12 the best, other than like we talked about with Josh Pate, you have a bunch of fake committee members that really don't do anything except spit out what a computer tells them to spit out.
Well, the carte blanche you're talking about was given to the SEC and the Big 10 on threat of them forming their own league anyway.
Which I think we're going to do.
Sankey a year ago or 2 years ago. So, yeah, but again, I just think it's official. Also, Ross Dellinger's article is fantastic.
It is.
So if you want to read the whole thing,
and
I pulled a bunch of stuff that we need to talk about, but one thing I found funny at the very beginning was officials described the 14-team playoff format as a 4-4-2-2-1-1. What is this, a social security number or something? Like, that's not going to catch on, brother.
The 4-2-2-1-1 basketball defense that we run every Thursday.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Blaine, why can't we just have a 9-game in-conference schedule for the SEC regardless? Why can't we just have a Big 10 and SEC crossover annual game, kind of like we do in college basketball and men's and women's, without having to give automatic conference spots? I don't think this is the best way to do it. And damn it, I want to do it the best way because it's our favorite sport.
Talking about this just makes my brain hurt, and it probably does for every college football fan that's out there. It's something new every other week. We should put 12 teams, 4 teams. Let's have -3 teams. Let's have 26 teams. Let's put 50 in. Hell, they're about to change the basketball tournament from 64 to 70-something. I'm just sick of it. I'm just tired of it already. The biggest problem with me is not about teams or automatic qualifying bids. Is how the hell does the committee pick these teams?
Well, what's
the process?
Will go down now with this, though. Their influence will go down, which is another big part of that article.
True, which is great.
4 SEC, 4. Honestly, the only thing that really comes into play is which is the Group of 5 team that we want to pick, and was Notre Dame in the top 14? Like, if it's 14 and not 16, right? Because there's only one at-large spot, which was done purposefully for Notre Dame as an exception. If they're in the top 14, they then get that out.
I just don't know if we need to change the playoff number again just to find a way to get Alabama into the playoffs.
Well, I don't think again, this is why I wanted 8. This is why I wanted 8, because you knew it was going to expand more and more. And you bring up college basketball, and I mean, you're right. They're talking about going to 76 teams. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the week. It's just gotten to the point now where, and David, when we were talking before we came on, I think you brought up a good point. Is there something that's kind of counterintuitive to this, though, for the SEC and Big Ten? Because if you say it's 4 and you say we're guaranteed at least 4 spots, is it capped at 4?
Yeah.
What happens if that 5th team is vying for that 1 at-large spot if it's 14 teams, or one of the 3 at-large spots if it's 16 teams? Does this put a cap on maybe a year where you could have had 5? Because you look at the NCAA tournament, hell, there could be 13 SEC teams that get in instead of saying, well, 7 automatically got to get in each year. I can make the argument that you're almost going to limit the amount of teams that you could have made.
I think that's a really good point. That could be the case. I wonder if the SEC will look at this past football season and say, wait, we have a lot of really great teams. They beat each other. We kind of cannibalized ourselves. We had the 5 or 6 best teams in the country, but we only got 3 spots because they're all beating each other. I understand the power play and trying to protect against that. There are 2 other things that I want to mention while we're on this topic, and this is, again, from Ross Dellinger's article. One is ESPN's role. I found this fascinating. Take it for what it's worth. This says another important entity involved in the conversation is the company paying the $1.3 billion annually to the college football playoff for the rights, and that is ESPN. Again, this is 2026 to 2031. Though they have not publicly commented, ESPN executives have expressed at least some concerns and apprehension about this new format. One power broker put it, you are going to alienate part of the country, quote unquote. So that's interesting.
I mean, again, I just don't understand how I can sit up here, or we can sit up here and say, we want meritocracy in college football. We want it to be decided on the field and the best teams get in. And then before the season say, no. Well, this group gets this, and this group gets this, and this group gets this. And then we'll have 1 at-large spot. We'll let, quote-unquote, meritocracy take advantage when we all know that's being built up for Notre Dame. I just don't feel like this is the best way to go.
One more thing here in the multi-automatic qualifier playoff proposal. Conference championship games definitely become less valuable.
Which I hate.
A reimagined championship weekend may feature conference play-in games for that 3rd or 4th automatic qualifier for the SEC and the Big Ten.
It's just, I guess they're just going to keep changing everything. At this point, this is just not a win for me. What does the chat think?
All right, Chad, hit the like, hit that subscribe button. We're going to start off with a $5 donation from Hail Mary Hot Takes. Appreciate it. What's the argument for stopping at 14 teams or 16 teams? I feel like now that the cap is open, it'll never stop.
Well, and that was one of the biggest arguments for not even expanding it to 4. Is that, okay, if you keep expanding it and it keeps on doing well, because college football is going to do well. It will always do well, especially in the region of the country that we're in, because it's so ingrained outside of some sort of political attack or something that's so over the top that it almost has to separate people. When does it end? Again, look at college basketball. They are going to go to 76 teams. If 64 or 68 isn't enough, then 12's not enough. Then 14's not enough. Then 16's not enough. And then when you get to 16 and beyond, you start eating at the regular season. I've said this for 2 years. What's going to happen is we're going to go past 16 teams, and they're going to take away a regular season game. And they're going to say, well, we used to play 11 regular season games each season. Why don't we just go back to doing that? That's where it's going to really hurt the regular season, not water it down or make it less exciting at the end.
But it's not just this in a vacuum. Like, for the people who aren't turned off by this, there's the transfer portal issues. And for the people who aren't turned off by that, there's the out-of-control NIL between different programs. So it's like there are just too many fronts to fight on right now for college football, and fans are getting turned off.
Yeah. So the $10 donation from I Hate Third and Long. I do too, man. Are we seriously about to see a 4-loss team get into the college football playoff with the 14-team expansion?
See, again, like, what is the line? We heard this argument last year. There were people saying Indiana shouldn't get in, and they're 11-1, but a 9-3 SEC team should get in over an 11-1 Indiana. Like, without having a structure that says, you know what, all the other stuff be damned, here are the metrics. Just like we had in the BCS, which I think the BCS was probably the best way to do it. Because at least I could look at those numbers and say, all right, here's how they calculated it. I may not like it, but I saw how they got there. And then they gave us a fake committee, which is basically the same people you saw in the stands during COVID. Just cardboard cutouts of people pretending to be there. That's all the committee was. We need to have a structure that is better than this. You can have a little bit of a human element. I've talked about that since I've been blue in the face talking about it. It's just really starting to piss me off.
All right, poll, should more teams be added to the playoff? Yes or no? Pretty lopsided here, fellas. 78% no. Yes, 22%. Don't touch it.
I wonder what the
touching it.
I wonder what the consensus with everybody. I wish we could poll every college football fan out there. What would you guess it would be if I could poll every college football fan from a little bit of a fan to an absolute mega fan? What do you think the numbers would be?
I'd say about 78%. You mean not every college football fan watches this show?
Well, the dumb ones don't.
What?
What's wrong with y'all?
The dumb ones don't.
Next thing I know, you'd probably say like Santa's not real or something.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Kids watch this
Yeah,
show.
that's exactly right. I'm going to tell you something that is real. The best meat delivery service in the game. And that's our friends over at Good Ranchers. I don't know if you know this. We're numbers guys speaking about it. But over 85% of grass-fed beef in stores is actually imported. Right? It's not sourced right here in the good old USA. But Good Ranchers doesn't buy into any of that. Not only do they want meat that's from American families and American farms, they want to give you a great deal too. And it's not too late to start the year right. Invest in your health and support those American farms with every purchase. Because right now, you can get free ground beef, chicken breasts, or wild-caught salmon. Yeah, this salmon wasn't grown in some river in a lab. They caught them straight out of the wild. In every order for a year, plus $25 off when you use code BOOSTER at goodranchers.com. Like I said, start 2025 off right. Maybe you got a new grill. Maybe you're like me and they gave you a grill that was broken, then brought you a new one and didn't take the old broke one back. I'm not saying the company specifically. All right, I'm not gonna tell on myself, but go to goodranchers.com and use code BOOSTER for this incredible offer. Good Ranchers that comes from Good Ranches, American meat delivered. All right, boys.
I just don't know why.
I didn't say the company specifically. No, you'll never catch me.
You just told on yourself.
No, they'll never catch me.
You just caught yourself.
No, I didn't catch myself.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just neuralized myself.
Good. It's the third
Nothing
time
like
we've done
some
that
patriotic
to
meat.
It's the third time we've done that to David today. Speaking about neuralized, there's some fans that wish they could go back and get neuralized from what they saw this weekend in what was humongous across the board, not only from a rivalry standpoint in college basketball, but there were some movers and shifters here. So we want to go to a little best and worst.
Your boys.
In college basketball.
How about your boys?
And here's where I want to start with best. We'll each give our best and we'll each give our worst. Regardless of the score or the outcome. Now, am I pretty excited about the score and the outcome of the Auburn-Alabama game? Yeah. I'm not going to front. Y'all know what we do. Here, give me some of that, though. Yeah, give me a little bit of that. And Bruce Pearl said it best, I think. All of the eyes in college basketball were on the state of Alabama this weekend as number 1 Auburn went to take on number 2 Alabama at Coleman Coliseum. We may never see this again between Auburn and Alabama. We might not. I hope we do. I hope we keep getting such great basketball in state. And it's not just these two teams. There's teams in first place that are littered all over the state of Alabama. The game lived up to the hype. Auburn did kind of control it through and through, even though Alabama did come back and Auburn punched back. But seeing game day there, seeing these two teams, when I have watched Auburn and Alabama be football schools, struggle in basketball for the most part, there were some flashes of brilliance. Just to watch the aesthetics of it, to watch the coverage of it, to watch the enormity of how important now college basketball is in the state that I'm from, in a sport that I've loved to watch. And you, Blaine, you've known me my whole life. I have always loved college basketball. I was just so proud as an Alabamian. Obviously, Auburn, it was a great game, right? Second half was a little bit better. Auburn jumped up 9-0. Bama came back. Auburn was up 9 at halftime. Auburn jumped out in the second half. Bama came back, and then Auburn was able to put it away. But I'm just absolutely blown away by what Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates and what these two universities have done, not only from an investment standpoint, but from a result standpoint, right? And now what do you see? And we're going to get to yours, Blaine, but LSU's going to keep Matt McMahon, and they're begging to spend money on college basketball. It's a great sickness that is spread all throughout the Southeastern Conference. It was amazing to see. We may never see it again. But it is just, I'm still just blown away, man.
Man, that was cool. That was a fun Saturday to watch. Two things. One, how about your voice being in the Auburn hype video?
That's the thing. It's my first basketball one. We're in all the football ones, but
yeah, that was our first basketball.
That one surprised me.
And two, how did it go watching with the wife?
Well, we watched it in separate rooms.
Okay.
I watched upstairs. She stayed with the baby downstairs, but I do got to say this as well. Viola, my newborn daughter, she was born on January 10th. And her first ever Auburn-Alabama game experience, Auburn went into Coleman Coliseum and took care of business. So we're off to a good start. Reed was not happy. But I'm actually a little bit excited that she wasn't happy because that means she cares about college basketball now. She was upset about it. But no, it was It was a tough couple hours at the Crain household, but, I sucked it up and got through it.
Yeah, 5 for 26 from 3.
Walk into your trap, take over your trap?
That's what happened. The trap got taken over.
Hey, kitchen made a sandwich.
Hey, you better guard your trap now into the year.
Look, Bama's good. Dude.
Hey, they're coming.
What matters is March. I love how you brought up the SEC. Did y'all see that new AP that just came out?
The AP Top 25?
Pull us up. 9 teams. 9 teams from the SEC. I guess it just takes the SEC being down in football one year to really piss them off, to just say, screw it, we're just going to go beat everybody in basketball. Guys, look at that. Look at that top 7.
You got Auburn 1, Florida 2, Bama 4, Tennessee 6, A&M 7. Then you go down a little bit, Missouri at 15, which that's going to be a hell of a game. They play Alabama at home on Wednesday. Kentucky at 17. Who thought we'd be talking about the SEC?
Look at that,
littering the top 25
and
Kentucky's at 17.
Look at that 11 through 14, boys. Yeah.
Yeah, Big 10. Big 10, Wisconsin, Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State.
I'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll get
to them.
It's nuts, man.
Who's
dominant?
Who's overrated, underrated? Remember we did this a couple weeks ago, and you said Florida's vastly underrated. I think it was.
They scare me more than any other team They scare me more than Duke. They just got hand-glocked and back. Another one of their exciting white trees that they have running around. Condon's going to be fine. Has a low ankle sprain, kind of similar to what
Missouri is an underrated basketball.
And I feel like Missouri's kind of built for the tournament, too. You talk about high flying. Everybody's shooting. They got this Caleb Grill kid who's from Wichita, Kansas, he'll shoot it when the plane lands and the bus stops.
I love it.
He's within range.
How about Maryland and Memphis right now? How you feel about those two?
Memphis to me is just too up and down. Auburn played them early in the year. I've watched them. They just lost to Wichita State too. I don't think Memphis is built to make a run. I don't think Maryland really is either. I think Purdue's overrated too, to be honest with you.
They got a big one tonight.
They got a huge one tonight against Michigan State, who obviously we know what happened with Michigan State and Illinois, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But what's your best, Coney?
My best. Bring that graphic back up one more time. Where does Dusty May have Michigan ranked?
Dude, y'all are
Number
cooking.
12. That's my best right there. And how about going into Columbus, getting that 3-point win on the road against the Buckeyes? Dusty May, Sharon Moore, both going into Columbus, taking care of business.
How big is basketball for Michigan fans? How big is it? Like, obviously,
really
football's
good. When I was there, 06 to 2010, the basketball team just wasn't great. We had some really good players, but the basketball program wasn't great. Honestly, the Chris Webber scandal set Michigan back decades, man. It just really hurt the program because obviously the Fab Five. I mean, that was one of the coolest eras in the sport, and it happened at Michigan. That thing set Michigan basketball back. But after John Beilein got that thing rolling and they played Louisville, and they had Trey Burke, when Trey Burke won Player of the Year, and Tim Hardaway Jr. and those guys, and they went to the championship and lost to Louisville. That's when some real momentum got going. And he went to a couple national championships. Obviously, Juwan Howard didn't get the job done, but I think Dusty May's got things back on track.
Are you worried about losing Dusty? How
yeah, of course. This is what we were talking about. I was talking about this with Indiana fans in the cigar bar this weekend. Like, this was the Kirk Cignetti talk of Indiana football, right? Like, oh, you got Indiana football in a good place. Are you scared after 1 year someone will come in and poach him like the University of Florida or something like that? Well, yeah, it's as much as Michigan prides itself on its basketball, it's still a football program.
Well, that kind of like Auburn and Alabama too. I mean, I guess there's a ceiling.
If he left and went to coach Indiana basketball, like, I wouldn't shame him. I just think we're in a spot right now where you could do as much at Michigan basketball as you could at Indiana.
Oh, I agree 100%. Indiana basketball right now, and I know we got a bunch of Nebraska football fans that watch this, but I'm going to be honest. Indiana basketball is the Nebraska football of college basketball. Great in the past. You have a big fan base. You're willing to spend money, but you just can't seem to get it back on the road.
I agree with that, but I think both of those things, Indiana basketball and Nebraska football, could return to prominence.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for them. It's great for the sport. All right, let's get to worst. Guys, I've watched a lot of sports in my life. I've watched a lot of basketball games, watched some NBA games, but it's mainly been college basketball. And I saw something this weekend that I have never seen before. And if you're in the chat or in the comments, and there's another example of this, please point it out to me because I've never seen it. We had a technical foul called before the game between Missouri and Georgia even started. It was at Georgia because Missouri put a guy in the starting lineup to go out there that they did not have penciled into the starting lineup, that I guess they give the cards to the referees and every team knows who's starting. So before the game even starts, right, we literally have a technical free throw being shot. There's 20 minutes on the clock, guys. How do you make that mistake? It's almost as bad as the mistake Blaine's about to make. Maybe about to not make. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
But he's about to tell you about it. How do you screw this one up? I have never seen that before. Please, somebody give me an example.
So was there no jump ball either after that? Georgia got the basketball?
I believe Georgia got to shoot a free throw, and they got possession.
What's the foul? What's the exact foul?
So you have the starting lineup that just like
technical
so
foul.
It's got to be a technical.
It's a technical. It's a dead ball technical because there's no time that's.
So I saw one thing like this in high school basketball, right? And I was a freshman, and you weren't allowed in warm-ups to dunk the basketball.
Right?
I saw it. One of our guys, like he didn't dunk it, but the definition of a dunk is to be over the cylinder whatsoever. And so instead of like a finger roll, he was too far over the cylinder. So the other team got to open up with a technical foul and get the basketball.
Well, I had the over in this game, so when I saw it was 1-0 with 20 minutes on the clock, I was like, "Oh, good. Can we got another? Let's look at Georgia's lineup card.
Let's keep this pace up."
Yeah, I love the start.
Well, if you want to see something worse than that, pull up Terrence Shannon Jr.
Oh, this is
Jersey.
So
I've never seen this.
This is like
I don't know how bad at your job you have to be to mess this up, but you know what you say, you can't all go wrong and then everything goes wrong. This is one of those moments right here. Go ahead and roll this. This is crazy.
This jersey unveilment.
No,
it's upside down.
No.
How again?
You're fired.
No, someone did that on purpose.
There's this either that or
someone did that on purpose. Had to.
Well, either that or it was the same guy who was overseeing the old waste in the government who was blind.
It's that guy.
Maybe his new job is the Illinois banner hanger
Is
guy.
this someone who had like a personal beef with Terrence Shannon?
It's got to be something.
So
There's no way you actually.
So I've thought about this. Now, unless I'm mistaken, which I don't think I am, there was a controversy with Terrence Shannon Jr. about like a domestic violence.
Yeah, remember we covered that.
You remember we covered it, and it was. I'm just wondering. I don't think gun to my head, I wouldn't guess that somebody did that on purpose because I believe he was absolved of all of it. But let me just ask the audience out there: how do you make this mistake? How do you not, when you're like, okay, guys, we're in here, we're working on the banner. Okay, here's how we're going to hang the banner. Was somebody not like, wait a minute? I mean, the athletic director went and did a press conference after this. It was so bad. He came out and spoke. He was just like, this is an unforgivable, like, there's avoidable mistakes, and then there's just awful mistakes.
Like in Beer Fest, you just hear a gunshot.
Do you think either somebody was too afraid to tell the head guy that, hey, man, it's screwed up? Or like Cone, how would this happen? How does this happen?
There was a beef with them. That's the only explanation.
The only way is you put it up and didn't check it.
Right?
That's the only way.
Is it just incompetence?
Put it up and didn't check it. But the thing about it is, like, more than one person has to do this. This isn't a one-man job.
No one wanted to speak up.
Like this is multiple levels of stupidity. There's layers.
Fired? If you're the AD, are you firing who's in charge of doing this?
Heads got to roll.
Because if you can't do this,
yeah,
like, what can you do? Like, what can I trust you to do? I'm afraid there's not going to be air in the basketballs. Or there's going to be football sitting on the basketball rack.
Safety around you.
That's what I'm saying.
Something's going to fall from up there.
You can't drive a car. You can't vote.
Man, you thought that was bad. You see the end of the Illinois game?
Oh, no.
Bring up that graphic real quick.
Oh, no.
I want to read this off for people. This is Illinois basketball here. This is a quote from Jacob, who is that, Maurer. It's funny to me that in the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds of Michigan State versus Illinois, the Illini were up 67-66 and lost 79-65. Yes, they ended the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds of a basketball game with -2 points.
So did they go and review a goaltending? That has to be.
I think it was a review.
Right? Because if they call it, they can go back and look at it. That is, how do you not, look, I know there's some really good defenses out there, but I find just with the way fouls are called nowadays, I don't know how you don't score a point in 6 minutes and 45 seconds. With what Illinois has, that NATO meaning of Slavs they got running around on Illinois, they got a couple of them that are absolute
There's no Terrence
studs.
Shannon, that's what it was.
Yeah, well, we know what happened to him.
All right, let's go to $5 donation from John P. Appreciate it, John. He says the only logical explanation of this happening is the Illinois sign guy smokes way too much weed.
Is weed legal in Illinois?
Questions I don't know.
Is it legal?
The answer.
Do we know? Can we look that up and find out if weed's legal in Illinois? Because if it is, okay. I mean, it is. Oh boy, may have been ripping the Benjamin button before he was doing it.
The Pin Henry?
Look, Benjamin will get you.
Let's go to the Hoop Hype. YT, what's up, man? He says, how much do we really trust the AP voting? It feels like a little bit of media bias to me.
I never really, again, it's a good point. The AP it comes and goes. We talk about this in college football all the time. But just the fact that this is a possibility to have that many SEC teams in there and in the top 10, it's still baffling to me.
Let's go to a $20 donation. Appreciate it from the Chomp. He says, I'm a Florida fan here, guys. Can't believe we're in the top 5. Would you say we're overrated or underrated?
Well, it's hard for me to say you're underrated when you're number 2. This is what I will tell Florida fans out there from an Auburn perspective. If there is one team that I do not want to see at any point in the NCAA tournament, I don't want them on our side of the bracket at all in any of the 2 quadrants. It's Florida because they have everything. Todd Golden's a fantastic coach. We talk about Nate Oates analytics all the time. Todd Golden is just as good. Go look at what he did at San Francisco before he came to Florida, which he is a Bruce Pearl protege, by the way. But look at their roster. And they're playing their best ball right now. You've got the guards. And this is without Elijah Martin, who I think is one of the best defenders in the country. His offense kind of comes and goes, but he was on that team at FAU with John L. and all those guys that made that run with Dusty May. There's another shot back at Dusty. Walter Clayton Jr., absolute stud. Will Richard, he can cook. Then you look at their front court with Hawk and Hand-Glockton, who's back now, and Condon. And even Aberdeen's a really good player. He's an assassin from the corner. I think Florida, without a doubt, is the second best team in the country. I'd rather play Duke. I'd rather play Duke with 2 Cooper Flags than play Florida. I'm telling you, I'd much rather.
$2 donation from WC says, as an Illinois fan watching at home, I was beyond embarrassed.
Yeah, it's just really bad, man. It's just really bad. It's not knowing what's going on. But if you want to know what's going on with your health, maybe I don't know, if your metabolism's working properly, are you burning mostly fats or you're burning carbs? Well, we have a companion for you. And our friends over at Lumen, and we thank them for sponsoring this episode, have a fantastic product that can do just that. And here's how it works. You simply breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you learn whether your body is burning mostly fats or carbs. It's a scouting report for your health. All right, the companion app then provides you with a personalized nutrition plan for the day that's based on your measurements. So it's personalized. You can even take your measurements before and after workouts and meals to understand exactly what's happening to your body in real time. Because we know metabolism is your body's engine. It's how it converts food into fuel. So knowing your metabolic health, it can help you with everything, whether you're trying to lose weight, maintain weight, gain weight, whatever. So take the next step to improving your health. Go to lumen.me/booster. That's lumen.me/booster to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/booster. Head over there for 20% off your purchase. And again, thank you, Lumen, for making our health better and sponsoring this episode. You guys are the best.
Nothing like talking about health on the 30th year anniversary of heavyweights.
That's today.
Really?
Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
No way.
30th year reunion.
One of the most underrated.
Know what I'm watching after
of all
college
time.
basketball tonight.
I wonder if I've shown Reed Heavyweights. I need to. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. I think it's one of Ben Stiller's best movies. All right, let's move on. We did our SEC win totals, part 1 and part 2. You can find that on the YouTube channel. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the Big 10.
Will you start with the Buckeyes schedule, and we can go every other one?
I would love to, David. Just for you, I would love to do that.
Thank you.
Pull that up.
All right, I'm pulling it up and out. All right, we're going to start off.
Not out.
You sure?
Up, but definitely not out.
All right, the win total's at 10.5, boys. 10.5 here, 10.5 going here, and we're going to start it off. You got Texas.
Yeah.
At home.
At home, though.
At home. Y'all think that's a win? Loss? You just want to go
I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah,
Grambling. All right, you got Grambling week 2. Ohio
I'll
at
win
home.
that one.
Yeah. Ohio at home, at Washington, Minnesota at home, at Illinois, at Wisconsin, Penn State at home, at Purdue, UCLA at home, at Rutgers at home. Then you finish with them boys.
No Oregon?
No Oregon on
They
the
don't play
schedule.
Oregon?
No Oregon.
No.
Man.
I tell you guys, I got them going 11-1, and I got them losing at Illinois.
What?
I think Illinois beats them. Altmaier, I believe, is coming back. I like what Brett's got cooking over there. I think, we talked about should Ole Miss get in, should South Carolina get in, all these teams last year. I think Illinois had
Are you just trying to be different right now?
I'm not trying to be different. I'm not trying to be. I don't have to try to be special.
Is this your unique take?
Well, y'all laughed at me with the SMU one last year.
Nobody laughed at you.
I chuckled at most.
I had him losing 3 games.
At most,
Go
I
look at the
chuckled.
comment. I'm not talking about you specifically. Go look at the comments. I said SMU would make the college football playoff and go 11-1, and I thought they were going to draw and quarter me. For saying that. And then look what happened. So I got them going 11-1. Give me the over.
Man,
I think Julian Saint's better than Arch Manning,
It's
too.
never, but is being better than him going to be as good as you were last year. Again, it's never a bad move to take the Buckeyes over in a win total. They're that good and they're that consistent year in and year out, especially if Oregon's not on that schedule. I look, last year was the $20 million roster. All those seniors came back. You had an established quarterback who had transferred in, and still you went 10-2. Until I see Ryan Day really beat Michigan, I can't take him in that game. Texas opening is going to be interesting. I mean, the better bet here is 10-2, right?
So again, even if they were to lose to Michigan, and again, it's obviously they've lost multiple times to Michigan here recently. And if I had to pick one, if I had to say they were going to split Michigan and Illinois, I'm looking at the rest of that schedule. Like,
a new quarterback you're starting.
But see, I look at that schedule. Who's scaring me? You get Penn State at home.
Yeah.
Right. That's another one people say you might lose it. But until I see Penn State beat Ohio State, I'm not picking
schedule for a young quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. It's perfect. Yeah. They could go 11-1 and be worse than last year.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. All right, next one up here is Penn State. I've got their schedule 9.5 right now on the win total line. They'll win the spring game for sure. But next they move on to Nevada. At home, they got FIU, Villanova. That's interesting, not in basketball either. They have a bye before they host Oregon on September 27th. That'll be a lot of fun. They go to UCLA. They get Northwestern at home. They go to Iowa. They have a bye week before they go to the Buckeyes, like we said. Indiana at home. Michigan State is on the road. Nebraska's at home, and they go to Rutgers.
11-1. Over.
Really?
I'm taking Ohio State to go 11-1. Penn State to go 11-1. Right now, again, we do our final predictions after fall camp, right before the season. We got to see with the spring transfer portal and then who gets hurt in fall camp, this, that, or the other. I think Penn State goes 11-1. Drew Aller coming back. You look, they added Jim Knowles, obviously, as DC from Ohio State, and they kept Andy Kotelnicki, which that's something I was keeping an eye on, was would Kotelnicki move on and become a head coach after this? I thought he made a huge difference in Drew Aller. But again, looking at that schedule, say, all right, you're going to Ohio State. I'll give you a loss there. Outside of that, nothing else really scares me.
Yeah, I like the over as well. No Michigan on that schedule and no Wisconsin either.
Yeah. All right, what we got next? USC?
We got USC, Lincoln Riley, and the boys. Can he finally figure it out this year? You start off with Missouri State at home. Mm-hmm. You face Davis boys, face Georgia Southern at home, at Purdue. Michigan State at home, at Illinois. Illinois got a good schedule. Michigan at home, at Notre Dame, at Nebraska. Northwestern at home. Hopefully someone keeps on the lights. Iowa at home, at Oregon. Then UCLA at home. And that number's at 7.5, fellas. 7.5.
I'm interested. I know there's a quarterback battle there, but it's going to be Jaden Maiava. I think that the UNLV transfer that's going to be the starting quarterback over there. I've got him at 8-4.
Yeah.
So can you go through the schedule one more time? And I'm going to give you win-loss. Everybody pay attention. Get a pen out. Get a piece of paper out because we're going to revisit this once the season starts.
Missouri State at home.
Win.
Georgia Southern at home.
Win.
Be careful.
At Purdue.
Win.
Michigan State at home.
Win.
At Illinois.
Loss.
The Fighting Cones at home.
Is that Michigan?
Yes.
Loss.
At Notre Dame.
Loss.
At Nebraska.
Win.
Northwestern at home.
Win.
Iowa at home.
Win.
At Oregon.
Loss.
UCLA at home.
Win. 8-4.
If it's worse than 8-4, Lincoln's going to be in trouble, man.
Yeah, I think that's the cap, right? I mean, even with 8-4.
Yeah.
Do you think they'd fire Lincoln Riley if he went 8-4?
I don't know about 8-4, but don't go less than that.
Yeah, especially if you lose to Notre Dame, lose a couple of the other big dogs, and you're not seeing that progress, or maybe the defense still hasn't figured it out. Which we talked about D'Anton Lynn even after that LSU game in Week 1. We're like, oh God. Maybe USC can finally be balanced, and then it's just, oh, Lordy, oh, Lordy, oh.
That's exactly how it was.
That's how they sound like, too.
All right, let's move on to Washington, year 2 in the Big 10. 6.5 right now is their line.
I like their quarterback.
Colorado at home,
okay.
UC Davis, a bye week before they go to Washington State. They host the Buckeyes. They go to Maryland, Rutgers at home, at Michigan, Illinois at home. Then they get a bye week before they go to Wisconsin, Purdue at home, at UCLA, and then Oregon comes to Washington last game of the year.
9-3, year 2 under Jed Fish. 9-3. If you have not seen their young dynamic quarterback, I think, And some people will talk about him. If you're a football connoisseur, you'll talk about him. But he won't get a lot of the high-level conversation that you're going to hear about with Arch Manning and Nussmeier at LSU. And then obviously what's going to happen with Julian Sand. But this kid is an absolute stud. He's a dual-threat guy. I think he fits what Jedd Fisch wants to do perfectly. Give me Washington to have a solid year 2 under Jedd Fisch at 9-3.
All right, I love it. Let's go to the Wisconsin Badgers here, Jake. You ready for this? Are you ready to jump around?
Jump my ass around.
All right, we're going to start off Miami, Ohio at home.
Win.
The Fighting Ben Roethlisbergers. Fun fact, I watched the Batman movie the other day, the one with Bane. I forgot Big Ben was in that.
Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger's in that movie?
Remember in the side
Hines Ward.
And Hines Ward. There's another one, Pouncey. One of the Pouncey brothers were in it.
Really?
Remember when Hines Ward runs a kickback and it all blows out from under him? The shot before that, it's all of them on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Big Ben's in there. I didn't know that. Little fun fact for you. You got Middle Tennessee State at home.
Win.
On the road at Alabama.
Loss.
Maryland at home.
Win.
At Michigan.
Loss.
There you go, Colin. Iowa at home. Ohio State at home. At Oregon. Washington at home. At Indiana. Illinois at home. And at Minnesota. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's not fun.
That's not good.
Got to go over, though, right?
No.
I mean,
I'm going to go under because that Dan Badger's in the chat.
If Luke Fickell goes 6-6 or worse, how bad is it?
David, they're going 4-8.
Good God, that's...
If they go 4-8, I think you got to fire them. Right?
You can't go, at Wisconsin, you can't go 4-8.
Well, especially after what happened with Phil Longo and then Van Dyke coming in and getting hurt when somebody whispers at him. Whatever. I think Wisconsin's going 4-8, and Luke Fickell will end up being a defensive coordinator somewhere or take a group of 5 head coaching job. And I hate that because I like Luke Fickell.
That's rough.
But he ain't Greg Schiano, who's next at Rutgers. What are they at, 6.5?
6.5. 6.5. Here's their schedule. Ohio Bobcats.
Okay.
Miami Redhawks. It's a real
it's a MAC.
Real MAC situation here. Norfolk State.
Wow.
Goodness
great band.
Yeah, maybe we do need a SEC Big 10 crossover ASAP. They get Iowa at home, at Minnesota, bye week before they go to Washington, Oregon at home, at Purdue, at Illinois back-to-back, Maryland at home, bye week before they go to Columbus, and then they end the season hosting Penn State.
6-6. Congratulations, Rutgers. You made a bowl game, but that's about it. Now, you're going to start out 4-0 with that. Now, I think you win that home game against Iowa. But I look at Rutgers, you're losing one of the best backs in the country, which we want to talk about kind of a Pacheco clone. I think him and Isaiah Pacheco got a lot in common, not just that they both went to Rutgers, but I think this is a 6-6 year for Rutgers. You remember last year, guys, at some points, even Kirk Herbstreit brought up Rutgers could maybe make the college football playoff. They thought they would possibly be the Indiana, or do what Indiana did and then make the college football playoff. I got them at 6-6.
All right, we ready for this Illinois Fighting Illini?
God, this may be the best bet on the board, girls.
Should I just read the schedule like
maybe the best bet on the board, girls.
Walk around like this.
5.5. For Brett Bielema, he eats
up.
more pizzas a night than that. Damn, Brett.
6 pizzas a night?
Still got a good-looking wife.
Slices or whole pies?
Does he walk around the house like this?
Got that walrus belly.
It's a great movie, too. All right, you got Western Illinois at home.
Win.
Off. At Duke.
Win.
Western Michigan at home.
Win.
At Indiana.
Ooh. Win.
USC at home.
Win.
At Purdue.
Win.
Ohio State at home.
Loss.
At Washington.
I said Ohio State would win that. Win.
People don't forget. At Washington.
Loss.
Rutgers at home.
Win.
Maryland at home.
Win.
At Wisconsin.
Win.
Northwestern at home.
11-1.
I mean,
Illinois
it's
makes
7-5 at the low end to me.
How is it 5.5?
It's 7-5 in a bad.
Am I just losing my mind? Is Luke Altmaier not coming back? I think he has another year. I think Altmaier has another year. I am taking Illinois to smash this.
11-1.
11-1. Illinois makes the college football playoff.
You doing?
Wow. That's what I got. Not anymore. Well, not since 11.
11-1.
He's still there.
So beats Ohio State.
Yep. And then they lose the next week going to Washington because that's how it happens. 11-1.
All right.
Interesting.
You're crazy.
No Oregon on that schedule.
Wait, so you got him beating the Buckeyes.
I got to beat Ohio State. I think that's going to be Ohio State's only loss.
All right, boys, Minnesota to wrap things up here. 4.5 right now is the line for PJ Fleck and the boys. Open with Buffalo Bulls.
Win.
To get Northwestern State.
They keep the lights on when they wear masks.
At Cal. I did hear that. At Cal. Bye week before they get Rutgers at home, at the Buckeyes, Purdue at home, Nebraska at home. They go to Iowa. Michigan State comes to them in Minnesota. Bye week before they go to Oregon, to Northwestern. That's the Wildcats, back-to-back weeks. And then they end with Wisconsin at home.
Give me 7-5. Just going to row their boat all the way to Average Island. 7-5.
Mid-Island.
Which, I think Minnesota fans don't hate that. I think PJ will be there forever. I think he'll be there forever.
There you go.
Because he'll win 8 games every couple of years, and they'll be 6-6, and then he'll get mayonnaise poured all over him in a bowl game or something like that. So, yeah, give me that. But, all right, let's get to the chat before we get to these reactions.
All right, let's go to a $10 donation from I'm Nitney Up. What's up? He says, how do you think Drew Aller will look coming into this year? Will be his final year. Will he be a Heisman finalist at the end of this year?
I think when you look at the rest of the quarterbacks in college football, there's a really good chance that Drew Aller is there because, again, Andy, Codal, Nicky. What he did to transform not only the offense, but in hand, Drew Aller, I think, was not only the best for Penn State and Drew Aller, but I think it actually gives them a good chance to finally get over that hump and win some of these games that we haven't seen him win. Not, and no disrespect to SMU, but we expect them to win that. I'm talking about the Ohio States. I'm talking about the big boy games. I'm talking about the ones that matter in the college football playoff. My biggest question is, and David, being the resident quarterback, I want to ask you this. Do you think Drew Aller has hit his ceiling?
I don't think so yet. I don't think so. I mean, I think there's still room for improvement, and that's the way that he needs to be thinking about this, and that's the way the entire...
How natural of a passer of the ball do you think Drew Aller is?
That's a good question.
You had to grade him, A through F.
Yeah. Well, right now I'd say a B, but one, there's room for improvement there, and two, he offers so much more than that. I didn't think Justin Herbert was necessarily the greatest pure passer of the football coming out of college, and he's doing just fine. And Josh Allen, same sort of way, like the arm strength was there.
And he's a pro-style guy.
There's a difference between throwing and passing, right? And I just think that there is room for improvement. If he can show as much improvement from last season to this season as he does this year coming up, I think he's going to be a good player.
If he can make a jump similar to what he did from last year to this year, from this year to next year, Penn State's got a chance to win the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And people laugh and say, oh, well, they can't. You're always told you can't do something until you do it.
The arm talent clearly is there.
Yeah.
It's the decision-making and the accuracy.
Yeah.
$5 donation from the Scarlet and Gray Takeover. He says, first, that guy to the right can shut up. Just kidding. Love you, Cone. Second, will Julian Sayin have to play better than Will Howard this year for them to win a national championship? It's a good question.
It is a good question. And regardless of how much money you spend on the roster, and I'm talking about offense, defense, and special teams, I don't think Ohio State will be as talented next year as they were this past year. So if I believe that, then yes, I think Julian Sayin will have to outplay Will Howard for them to be able to repeat as national champions. But I'm telling you, I think the Julian Sayin kid, everybody's going to talk about Arch. I think he's going to show Arch up in week 1. I think they may roll Texas, dude. Yeah, look, I know Texas fans won't like to hear it, but if I want to make people happy, I'd sell ice cream for a living. Speaking of ice cream, it's delicious, and so are these reactions. What do we got up on deck here?
All right, you got it?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, first one, I know we're doing a big segment on USA Hockey against Canada. We're going to get to that, and there's a championship on Thursday, but we couldn't come on here and not show at least one hit after they booed our national anthem.
Yeah. Is this the Kachuk brother?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I could watch those two play hockey. They're the Bash Brothers.
Yeah.
They literally are our version in real life of the Bash Brothers. Yeah, let's go ahead and play this clip. You talk a bunch of ish, you boo our national anthem.
That's what happened.
This is a euphemism to what happens to Canada when they open their mouth. Because I think Daniel Tosh said it best. They got the best fence in the world around them.
Yeah.
And it's the United States. But don't think for a second, especially now, that if y'all want to run y'all's mouth, we're going to stop subsidizing y'all so y'all can have the few nice things you got.
51st.
No, not even.
You can say a lot of things. You can make fun of how I talk. You can make fun of what I eat.
Make fun of our food.
That's fine. You make fun of that. But you come after our national anthem. 45 minutes later, is Black Hawk helicopters flying over your house playing Freebird.
Let's be honest. You were going to be equally as offended if they talked about how you talk.
What'd you say, David?
Huh?
I talk funny how?
I'm funny. I am.
No, it's just like if I was Canada, to me, and I've got friends that are Canadian, and most of them actually agree with how I view Canada. I'm just sick of Canada. Feels like the 35-year-old son that still lives with his parents, but lives out in the house by the pool. Who doesn't have a job but acts like he does, and like he's super responsible.
Ted?
Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's who they are.
He's out there playing Beyblades.
Yeah, he's got Beyblade. Yeah, he's out there on he's rollerblading and stuff like that. That's what I feel like Canada when they open their mouth.
Yu-Gi-Oh cosplay.
Yeah, I'm tired of it. Like, at some point, and I'm working on, I got a daughter now. I've got to find a way to do tough love with a girl like this. I'm going to give Canada some tough love. Look, y'all really aren't what y'all think y'all are in the grand scheme of things. Okay, you're not. So you boo our national anthem, then we take away the money we give you, and then y'all got nothing. I don't care how good the syrup is, how much flannel y'all wear. Y'all's women don't look half as good as ours. Y'all don't have the money we got. We got more land than you, and your military is a bunch of guy on horses that couldn't do, half of what our guys do. Just piss us off and see what happens. I want that pool house open.
A little outdated.
All right, well, we will be hitting that more later in the week.
Yes, we will. And let us win Thursday. If we beat them on Thursday again to win it, y'all are ours. And you're not a state, you're a territory because you don't deserve to be a state. Walk in, yo, trap. Take over, yo, trap.
There, you heard it there.
All right.
The philosophy of Jim Crain.
Yeah.
Next one, granny free throw, please. I love reacting to a good granny free throw.
Look at this guy.
Look at this.
The guy from the Geico commercials?
The pride of Wofford.
So this is called a granny shot, and I know that gives off a negative connotation, but if it goes in, I would love for Dylan Cardwell at Auburn to do this, if it would go in. But the coolest part about this to me is, this is a big game. I mean,
Kyler Filewich.
Wofford is down 3. All right, you need these free throws. So play the clip. When you need it the most, Heroes comes in all shapes and sizes.
What makes it so great is this guy's huge.
Off the back.
Look at that.
Dude's huge.
Buckets.
The granny shot off the backboard is diabolical.
So if you were guaranteed 95% free throw percentage, would you shoot like that?
Hell yeah.
All day.
All day.
All day.
I
Laugh at me. I'm making buckets.
No doubt. Especially you got arms like that. He could probably granny shot it from half court. I just wonder if he shoots like that in real life. I want to see a granny shot three-pointer. That's what I want to see. Now, I don't know if you got the time to get that off and you're bringing it from low to high. You may get it blocked. But I respected it, went in. I don't discriminate outside of men and women's sports.
Okay.
This is like a reversal.
The old granny shot.
Yeah, the old granny shot. Nothing wrong with it.
Okay, so Kyle Filewich, which is this guy right here. All right. He used to shoot 28% from the free throw line.
Before he granny shot it.
Then he started granny shooting 64%.
No way. How about that? We're coming
100% worth it.
64%. What a jump.
That's incredible.
I wonder how you auditioned it. I wonder how you found out you were better at that.
There's got to be a guy.
Was coach like, man,
Jackie Mooned it.
You're so bad, try something. And he just
well, he's sort of like, listen, I'm going to ask you to do something and you're not going to like the way it looks. And people are going to make fun of you. But what if I told you that you would shoot over 60% if you did?
What's more important, style or efficiency?
Well, see, what I wanted to see was the second free throw after this, because does he bank it every time?
He made both. Bank both.
He banked both of them. That is diabolical.
64%.
And I absolutely love it.
All right, next one up. Rick Pitino's speech.
Yeah, look,
you found this one.
I feel like this clip should be played in every high school in America because these are the type coaches that we used to have. And seeing an old school coach be able to talk to his players like this because it's the best thing for them, I'm going to shut up and just play the clip.
Dig in and be a basketball player. Dig in. Every time you miss a shot, your game deflates. We don't care about your missed shots. Play defense. You guys keep blowing opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity. You're like children with bad things happening. Instead of digging in and be tougher, you wilt. Where is your toughness? Where have you guys been raised that you're so weak mentally that you just give up when something doesn't go right for you? Don't you know what adversity is all about? That's the game of life, not the game of basketball. You don't get down when things go wrong. You dig in and get tougher. Your whole life's going to be adversity. Learn how to deal with it.
I mean, say what you want about the cussing. Say what you want about the cussing. I don't mind it. There's a time and a place for everything. It's not like you can always just give that same speech over and over again. But I think, and not just in sports, and this is one of the great teachers of sports, but if we were more honest with young people like this and told them the truth like that, we'd be in a lot better spot in society than we are right now, because all we tell young people now is, it's okay. Oh, it got tough. It's okay to quit. Or you're right. You're oppressed. Like, you're not having success, and it's not your fault. If we just, regardless of what you look like, where you're from, whatever, if we could have that type of mindset of life is hard, right? Life is tough. When life gets hard and life gets tough, that's when you find out how tough you are. And that's how you build up yourself to be able to go through tough times and good times to be a strong individual. I wish more young people would hear it that way instead of, oh, it's okay. You're a girl. That's fine. Or, oh, yeah, it's tough. Well, it's not your fault. It's because all the people that are in this race make it so hard for you and it's so tough for you. No, that's the truth. And that's what I think sports
That speech would have been pretty standard for most of the teams I played on.
Me too.
That would have been run-of-the-mill. That's a Tuesday.
That's what leadership looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me because as good as a coach he is and as good as his speech that was, he just sounds like a mob boss.
He does. I think it helps, though.
It gives a little extra.
He's like, we had to chop off Jimmy's legs last weekend.
It's my brother. You never turn on the family.
He does have that mob boss.
We're shooting 22% from three-point line. I'm going to kill him.
He's in Scorsese's new film.
Hey, well, you saw what Rick Pitino said 2 weeks ago when they asked him about his team struggle in shooting. He said, every time I watch us shoot the ball, he literally said this, his words, I want to kill myself.
Ugh.
That's what he said. Rick Pitino's very honest.
That's tough.
Very honest. But that speech.
That's tough.
And aren't they
awesome.
top 10?
Yeah.
Aren't they top 10 now?
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw a stat that said there's been only 3 teams to make a Final Four that shot like under 33%. Rick Pitino's coached 2 of them. So obviously he can find a way
you preach
around.
defense.
Wow. You being an incredible score. All right, let's get to bets, and we're going to get back to the chat and get on up out here. Tonight, I'm taking 2 favorites. Florida at home, playing Oklahoma. Couldn't stop a nosebleed in the nurse's office. Give me the Gators, minus 13.5, minus 112. I think they may win by 20 plus. Then Iowa State is taking on a bad Colorado team at home tonight. Wouldn't be shocked if Iowa State got close to 100 points now that they got Momcilovic back and obviously Jones.
Momcilovic.
And yeah,
It's just the guys they have.
Well, if I said that name to you, you're either making 3-pointers or you're a spy. Like, those are the only 2.
Maybe both of them.
Maybe both.
What do we really know about Cal Korver?
What do we really know about Jokic? That's the truth. So give me Iowa State minus 17.5, going off of minus 112.
All right, boys, I'm going to take Michigan State money line tonight, minus 165.
Wow.
Hosting Purdue.
You okay?
Good showdown today. Yeah, I'm going to take Sparty. We'll see. If they let me down, I'll never forgive them. And then Houston, minus 11.5, minus 110 on the odds there, going on the road to Arizona State. And remember, Houston, 21-4 right now, number 5 in the nation.
Lost a little money on the Auburn-Alabama game, bet Alabama money line, but did I really lose?
Emotional hedge.
Did I really
love
lose?
it.
I mean, Auburn won. USA beat Canada in soccer.
Some things are better than money.
Soccer.
In hockey.
In hockey.
God,
We got a ways to go for soccer.
When was the last time we beat Canada before that? Like 96?
In hockey?
Yeah.
Nah, we've beaten them.
No, we've beaten them.
We beat them in the.
now
we beat them in the Stanley Cup all the time.
All right. Give me Texas A&M plus 2.5. They're on the road to Mississippi State. It's going off at minus 105. Give me Florida minus 13.5. Going off at minus 120, but I will take Jake's odds at minus 1.
What does Ace have? He's going to take Wisconsin, the Badgers, tonight at home, minus 180. And then A&M on the road at Mississippi State in a game that's going to be awfully physical, as Coach Red Bayou would say. Going to take the Aggies there at plus 125. All right. Let's get to the chat.
My turn?
It's your turn.
All right, Chad, if you donated today, thank you so much. We enjoy your money on this side. $5 donation from the Frozen Tundra. Says, guys, be honest with me here. Can Minnesota ever take the next step? I feel like we do the same thing every year.
Talking about football, I mean, taking the next step for me for Minnesota is winning like double-digit games, not even winning the Big 10 or making the college football playoff. I think there's still a possibility that you could run into a year every 3 to 4 years where you have a team that's capable. But see, like, I remember when y'all had like Maroney and all those guys back in the day when like Minnesota was cooking some years. But it just seems like there's a cap on the level of eliteness that Minnesota has with PJ. And maybe, I don't want to take away all your hope, but I'm not seeing it.
What about when the college football playoff expands so far that the Big 10 gets 10 automatic qualifiers?
Then you got a chance. But by that time, the Big 10 will have 35 teams in there.
We'll have to see their schedule.
Yeah.
Let's go to a $5 donation from War Eagle Hoops. Appreciate it, man. He says, is this Bruce Pearl's most complete team?
Yes. And I said this after Maui. And again, we'll see what happens in March. I actually had a coach message me from Auburn. We were talking back and forth, and just like, hey, what y'all doing is incredible. This, that, and the other. He's like, well, what we do in March is what matters now. And I loved hearing that. I can't believe Auburn and Alabama are at that point. But when I look at the versatility defensively, offensively, the special teams have always been really good from Bruce Pearl, the inbounds and what he's able to do in different moments. This Auburn team is deep. They can score. They can win rock fights. This is the best Auburn basketball team I've ever seen.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Getting Buckets. Appreciate it. Everybody wants to talk about Janai Broome, and as good as a player he is, the one thing I look at when it comes to Auburn is their defense. Their ability to switch 1 through 5 makes them different this year.
Yeah, I mean, you watch him. Dylan Cardwell's out there guarding point guards. When you can switch everybody, think about that from a football standpoint. Like, regardless of who motions, you can just switch. Everybody can cover everybody. You can only do that when you're as big as Auburn is, too. When you're long and tall at guard, like they are with Baker Mazzara and Denver Jones and these guys. And then you have bigs that can move their feet, like Janai Broome, like Chaney Johnson, like Dylan Cardwell. There's not a lot of good answers against Auburn's defense.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Leah. Appreciate it, Leah. Has anyone heard from Kirk from Canada? Someone calling a welfare check after that beatdown on Saturday.
Yeah, I was wondering if we got calls on Friday, so we'll see if Kirk calls in, depending on how it goes on Thursday. If they win, he'll definitely call in.
$10 donation from Shane. Appreciate it, Shane. Those fouls really didn't matter for UGA basketball. UGA's second half performance lacked so much talent, just like a Taylor Swift concert. It's been so infuriating watching this team from half to half.
Well, look at Georgia in the second half of some of these big games they've played recently. I mean, they just come out and turn the ball over. It's like they totally forget. But I am telling you, Mike White, and in that state with how you can recruit, I mean, look at guys like Asa Newell, who I know is going to be gone, but it seems like Georgia's made an investment in the NIL space, and I think Mike White can help elevate them. But it's a process, and that's what it's going to take.
A $1.99 donation from the Tiger Hoops Madness. He says, who's Auburn's X factor for a deep run in the SEC and NCAA tournament?
Well, and I think what's dangerous about Auburn is multiple guys can hurt you, but I still think it's Chad Baker Mazzara. I think he makes the toughest shots for Auburn. I think he's the emotional leader, good or bad, for Auburn. If he's playing well and he's defending, I think he can be a guy that can go off for 25 in a game where you really need it.
$5 donation from Dave. Appreciate it, Dave. Regarding Florida basketball, last year we just simply outscored our opponents.
Yep.
We were 94th in defensive efficiency. This season so far, we're 9th.
Yeah, and y'all can rebound y'all's ass off. That's the difference.
$5 donation from HB. What's up, man? Hey, Cone, look who's ranked over you, the overrated Wolverines. Wisconsin's got it coming. We'll see you in Ann Arbor, baby, to see that y'all flop again.
Get in the basement. Get in the basement.
Yeah, well, if Tanji's going to drop 32.5 like he did last time, then I don't know if that's happening.
All right, let's go to the last donation of the day, and that's a $10 donation from the Bracket Buster. Appreciate it. What's the biggest reason Auburn can make a Final Four run this year, in your opinion?
Well, it's the same reason we say this about any sport, and especially in college football. The teams that win the most can win the most ways. That's why I'll go back and say that I think it is as impressive to beat Tennessee 53-51 than it is to beat Alabama 94-85. If you can win a game in the 50s and you can win a game that's in the high 80s or 90s, you can win a lot of different styles and you can adapt and be a chameleon to other people's pace. If one of those games, because it always happens in the NCAA tournament, you're not able to control the pace and the flow of the game. How can you play when the game is not going perfect for you? That's the difference with this Auburn team. They can win a low-scoring game, they can win a high-scoring game, and they can win everything in between. I think that's the difference.
All right, that's all the donations for today. Appreciate it, y'all.
All right, appreciate everybody. Any parting shots, fellas?
Great show,
Suck
boys.
it, Canada.
Yeah, going to be live tomorrow. I hope we make it through this snow. Like I said, look, we'll find a way. Snowmobile, those things called snowshoes.
Yeah.
Any of the other things I don't know
Do a
about.
pizza.
So we'll do what?
Do a pizza.
Do a pizza?
Like
I don't
when
know
you-
what that means.
Okay, like
With
when
your
you're
skis?
skiing or snowboarding, you do a pizza. That's how you
Guys, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Enjoy the college basketball tonight, and like the chances of me not being excited as an SEC basketball fan. We're going.
Damn, my face.
Gone. Somebody clip that,
Oh,
because
that's
that's
in
an
my face.
absolute
That was in my
snatch.
face.
Randy Moss on you,
That
dog.
was in my face.